Well, here we are. I want to begin by practicing one of the things that we teach all of the employees at Bay Area Medical Center. It's an acronym called AIDIT, and it begins with the letter A, and that's acknowledge. I want to acknowledge all of you for being with us at this historic day. It's pretty awesome. Wish the weather was a little bit nicer, but I offered to be in charge of it, but John Hofer, where are you, John? You said that you wanted to be in charge of the weather. There he is, hiding in the back. So now that I've acknowledged you, I want to introduce myself. My name is Ed Harding. I'm the president and CEO of Bay Area Medical Center, and couldn't be prouder today to have you all here to witness this groundbreaking of what will become a new acute care facility, a new medical center to serve the patients in the communities of Marinette, Menominee, Peshtigo, and the surrounding area. We'll try to keep this ceremony brief. We've got a few folks that we want to speak to you on a number of topics, but we first want to begin by having our chaplain, Craig Mansour, give an invocation. Craig?
Thank you and welcome. A few, a few quotes that I looked up for today. David Allan Coe, who I admit I never thought I would use in this kind of circumstance, wrote, "It's not the beauty of a building that you should look at. It's the construction of the foundation that will stand the test of time." So we're anticipating with excitement a new building that will help us in our work to be more effective and more efficient. But I think it's a good time to think about our foundation, and by that I mean where and who we come from. The foundation of Bay Area Medical Center is the care and compassion that flows out of our community. It's good to remember at this time people like Dr. Mann and the Sisters of the Third Order of St. Francis and the Borans, Marshall Lloyd, and then the communities that as they came together to create and support Providence Hospital and St. Joseph's Hospital and Marinette General. So we build on a foundation, and that foundation is commitment, care, and compassion. Jim Rohn wrote, "Whatever good things we build end up building us." Let us pray. Gracious Lord, we give you thanks. You fill the world with your presence and your goodness, with care and commitment and healing. Bless this place where your glory dwells, that through our efforts your healing may be carried out here on this site, and your glory revealed in a new way. And so we ask your blessing on this new beginning. Direct those who lead, inspire those who create, strengthen and protect those who build, and finally bring us to a greater ability to do your healing will in our community. We rejoice in a work begun. May we soon celebrate the realization of your healing will through those who come here to be treated and those who dedicate their lives in so many and various ways to that healing. Amen.
So our first speaker is Jared Coleman, the Chief Operating Officer of Aurora Healthcare. Jared?
Thank you, Ed. I'm grateful to be able to come here today and just say a few brief words. And the first things I want to do is I want to thank that Bay Area Medical Center board, the board of directors, with the vision and guidance that really brought this whole project together. And to the Bay Area Medical Center leadership team, as well as the Aurora Healthcare leadership team in the North Region, for their leadership and creating the plans and bringing us to where we are at this point. I think this is a great day. It's a great day for all of us in healthcare, and in particular in our community here, right here in Marinette. And the reason why is because now we bring these two great healthcare companies together so we can bring with us into, again, the community, this brand new state-of-the-art facility. A state-of-the-art facility that will have cutting-edge equipment so that our community members can stay right here for outstanding, high-quality care without having to travel long distances, to stay in the community that cares for them and they care so much for. So to Ed and everyone I had mentioned today, thank you very much. And we're proud and honored to partner with you in bringing this new hospital to life. Thank you, Ed.
And next, Mr. Tony Furton, the board chair of Bay Area Medical Center.
Thank you, Ed. It's my pleasure to be here this afternoon to representing the board and the board of directors and the hospital at this groundbreaking. For those of you who have been asking for the past several months, where will the new hospital be built? Well, here we are today, so no more questions any longer. They say that good things come to those who wait, and we certainly have a good thing coming here. It's nice to see this construction starting. The BAMC board and the leadership team began planning for this day nearly a decade ago. Our current hospital has sections that were built in 1939 and 1970. This includes the emergency room and the inpatient rooms. Despite the regular investment and remodeling over all the years, we saw significant challenges, especially with our technology, energy and maintenance systems, and continually trying to meet our patient expectations. Our first facility plan was developed in 2007. However, that was not implemented due to the 2008 economic downturn. In 2011, we revisited that plan again and found that it would cost over $100 million to fund it. BAMC had a very strong balance sheet. However, it still would only be able to fund about half of the plan if we move forward. At that point, the board made the decision to pursue a minority partnership that would give us the access to the capital and the expertise to achieve our full entire facility plan. After 2 long years of extensive due diligence, the board decided to partner with Aurora Healthcare, and that turned out to be a great partnership. In 2014, we signed that historic agreement. The new hospital project, along with the renovation of the Aurora Bay Area Health Center, will end up costing $135 million. While bond financing and community philanthropy will pay for a part of it, the majority of it is going to be paid for money that BAMC has saved over the years with the eye toward the future and the investment that was made by Aurora Healthcare. As everybody knows, the healthcare landscape is changing rapidly. Our board is very proud of the way that we have anticipated those changes. This has been an ongoing process that's, as I mentioned earlier, has been over 10 years in the making. We're confident in the decisions that we've made, and we're excited about what the future holds for the community. I would especially like to recognize the work of the BAMC board members who provided their time, and there was a lot of time involved, a lot of meetings, and their talents in getting us here today. Those board members that are here today, I think I have everybody here, but we have Sandy Ewald, Aurora representative to the BAMC board, Chuck Hawkins, Marce Jamo, Pat Craw, George Craw. I don't know if you're at any meetings or not, but you're there in spirits. Pat O'Hara and Rose O'Hara, Dr. Richard Stein, Jeff Bard, Jim Kronkowitz, Chuck Kellhofer, Bob Sorensen, and I think that covers all the board members.
And next up, Dr. Tim Lineberry. Dr. Lineberry is the chair of the Aurora Bay Area Medical Group.
Thank you, Ed. It goes without saying that the biggest impact of this project in the new hospital is with patients. And as you can see, the environment that's going to be here with the hospital is going to make changes in terms of what we can offer for patients and really combining the expertise with Aurora Healthcare and Bay Area Medical Center, with our physicians and our clinical staff and our caregivers. As part of the plans, we'll have a regional cancer center. We're going to be able to do things with monitoring and with the new facility that really bring the impact where we want to be, which is with patients. So this really isn't a new hospital. We're investing in a renovation of Aurora Bay Area Health Center on Old Peshtigo Road as well, and we want the best of our patients' health throughout the community. So as we look at the changes and the renovations, both that we're doing there, but also with the new construction in the hospital here, we're excited about the future and excited about what we can bring in terms of clinically as we partner and work together. I do want to acknowledge that we've had a number of physicians who have been here and serving the community for decades. I want to specifically acknowledge Dr. Karkinen, Dr. Castleton, and Dr. Mallory, who are just a few of the clinicians who have been dedicated to the community and providing the best possible care here. Thank you very much.
So acknowledgments. If I stood up here today and acknowledged everybody that's had some kind of a form of a stakehold in planning this new facility, it would back up literally a decade and we'd be here all day. So I really can't do that. And I apologize if I'm not able to hit everyone, but there are some folks, of course, present today that I want to make sure I do that for. And first and foremost, the board of directors, because when I arrived here a little over 5 years ago, we looked at this, we dusted off the old facility plan, and we started looking at what those needs are or were. And as Tony put it, we realized we couldn't do it alone, and we realized, in fact, it was Chuck Califer that said, I just cannot see approving a $50 million expenditure when we haven't at least looked at what would it take if we wanted to think much bolder. And I think at that time, if I would have said, well, one day we're going to be building a $135 million facility, I think that would have been viewed as a bit of a pipe dream. But thank God we have a strong board that decided to back up and take a really good look at what would it take. And there were members of the board then that even said, there's no way we can partner with anybody. But again, a strong board considers all things. And we decided that we would negotiate in a position of strength, because Bay Area Medical Center has always been a strong organization, and realized that with everything that was changing, and in fact at that time there wasn't even such a thing as healthcare reform. It was just an idea at that point. And the board said, no, let's figure out what would it look like, and came up with the concept of this affiliation, this partnership model that takes the best of two organizations and maintains a local board with local decision making. So without that, we would not be able to, without that vision of a board, we would not be able to be here today. Not only our BAMC, the Medical Center Board, but our parent board, headed up by Chuck, the M&M Healthcare Board. So thank you. We've had lots of leaders from Aurora Healthcare participate in this process as well. I know Jer's been personally involved at the board level, even though he's not a voting board member, still comes to our board meetings to provide his wisdom and maybe to keep an eye on us too a little bit. Melanie Teat, the Aurora local senior administrator, been very, very active in not only, we're talking a lot about the hospital today, but we'll be renovating the Aurora Bay Area Health Center, and she's been very instrumental in that. Mike Connor, where are you, Mike? There he is. Mike and Karen McKenzie, both with the Aurora corporate, and Mike's in charge of facilities for the entire system, really has been instrumental in helping us make some of the key decisions, literally down to exterior brick and windows and everything, and having somebody that's at the table that has done literally tens of millions. In fact, I think Mike has told me he's done a billion plus of construction. That's wisdom that you just you don't find on the street. We've got an awesome BAMC leadership team as well, and I see many of you guys sat in the back to let people have a front row. That's your typical style. I appreciate that. I told the staff months ago when we began, right before the design process, I said, listen, This isn't going to be developed in a vacuum. It's going to be the grassroots staff that are going to help to design the respective departments, because who knows better than the employees and how it should work. And we've done just that. We've elicited the help of our staff. The toughest thing there is making sure that we don't replicate what we already have. You got to think of new ways to deliver care. And I think we've risen to that occasion. I want to especially call out Dan Carlson. Dan just moved into a semi-retired role and as our chief financial officer. But in particular, what I want to thank Dan is Tony had mentioned some of the financing on this. We're basically paying for this project 40% of it with cash on hand, which is pretty impressive with a $135 million project. We've been saving for a long time, folks. But Dan was instrumental in securing the bond financing for this. And there was a lot of days where Dan and I are sitting in my office wondering, is this going to work out? Because you can imagine all the attorneys and all the legal work done and all the hoops to jump through for a bond financing of $85 million. So thank you, Dan. Of course, I would be remiss. You can't build a structure without a design. And in our case, we actually have two architectural firms involved in this. Canon Design out of Chicago, and there's lots of representatives from Canon. In particular, Greg Heiser. Greg, raise your hand. Thank you. Lead architect on this project, but I know he'd be very quick to point out that there's lots of folks, and there's a team, very strong team from Canon helping us there. And then Kevin Broik of Horty Alving. Kevin, Horty's role is focused primarily on the Aurora Bay Area Health Center facility, but of course they're involved in every aspect as well and attending all of our meetings. So thank you. Then we have our contractors. They're the ones that keep the architects honest, right, guys? Bolt Construction. I mean, what a strong name. They have been in the business. They've built numerous hospitals all over the country, let alone here in Wisconsin. We've never regretted going with a large firm like Bolt because they've got the know-how, they've got the manpower, they've got the knowledge. Jeff Johnson, Jeff and I started working on this project along with Trent Jeswinski. We're still finalizing some of the ink on the contract, but we also have a very good dignitary of Bolt with us today, and Oscar Bolt, whose grandfather founded Bolt Construction, which is pretty incredible. And at 92, Oscar, you told me your age, so I can. At 92, very impressed. You're a bit of an enigma to me, Oscar, because I was told a story of at a groundbreaking. Actually, it was an open house facility. It was already built, and at the end of the day, you walked up to the cornerstone and were touching it. And somebody said, what are you doing? And you said, I'm feeling the people in the building. And that tells me Bolt isn't just about pounding nails or pouring crete or rebar or anything like that. It's about making sure that they're building a home for organizations to exist in. Lots of other subcontractors. We're doing what's called an integrated delivery model on this project. So we're identifying subcontractors up front, but in particular, I want to point out Pat Skolecki with Grafe, as well as Associated Engineers, because they're the ones that have been working very closely with us to make sure that the roadway would work and that the utility extension is going to go in well, and that doing the traffic studies. And I've learned more about utilities and behind the scenes stuff. Got a heck of a lot of respect, always have, for engineers, but heck of a lot of respect for projects, especially when people were saying, not only where is it going to go, like Tony was saying, but how can it go there? Because it was one thing to pick a site, but we had to make sure that the site could actually withstand a physical structure of the size that we're talking. Two of our partners I want to acknowledge that are here as well, representatives, and Sam will speak in a moment from the foundation, but the BAMC Foundation, whose primary focus of existence is to look at the philanthropy side of BAMC. And yes, there will be a capital campaign tied to this project, and no, there won't be a a bucket for you to contribute on the way out. We'll talk to you at another time about that. I always say this about our volunteers: BAMC could not exist without our volunteers. They fulfill lots of key functions on a day-to-day basis, literally. So those of you that are here from our volunteers, in particular Gail, want to thank you for being here today. We also have some elected representatives with us. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson is represented by Camille Silber. Camille, right here in front. Okay, thank you. Congressman Reed Ribble's representative on the last moment was not able to be here, but I know Reed wishes us well. Very happy to see Senator Dave Hansen here, who actually, not everyone knows this, but Senator Hansen has a son-in-law, Dr. Scherer, who will be performing surgery in this new center. So you can stop by any time and take a look at our progress here. And then certainly our own state representative, John Nygren. John, thank you for being here. We've also have lots of representatives from our local city, county boards, Marinette, Menominee, Peshtigo areas. I want to thank you all for being here. But in particular, I want to do a special thank you to our Marinette Mayor, Steve Genesat. Steve, where are you? There you are. Steve, as well as City Attorney John Spar. John, where are you? In the back, hiding. And City Engineer Brian Miller. Brian, are you here? These three gentlemen really worked hard helping us to successfully navigate some of the development agreement language with the City Council and making sure that our annexation process, because the land that we're standing on today, a month or two ago, was not part of the City of Marinette. So I know without your support, Mayor, Attorney Sabar, and Brian, that annexation, that rezoning would not have gone nearly as smooth as it has gone. So thank you very much for your efforts. Okay, so that's it for acknowledgments. Got a couple more closing comments. Up next is Sam Hofer. Sam is the chair of the BAMC Foundation Board. Sam.
Thank you. John said hold it close to my mouth. And I am standing up. So when John calls, and your oldest brother, when you see the caller ID, it's always going to be like, oh no, now what? And so the answer is always yes. And his advice was, or his request was, that I speak about the community perspective here. And since our mother and father were born at BAMC, and my mother delivered 7 sons at BAMC, we have a little bit of investment and skin in the game in this community. And we won't go back generationally. The other thing he said is keep it to 3 minutes, which is very hard to do for a Hofer.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. So with that, first of all, it is very, very humbling to stand here in front of so many distinguished people and leaders in our community, and people that I know that knew my parents, and that's very challenging. My mom and dad always taught us that we participate in our community and that we are engaged, and that's just the way they brought all 7 sons up. And so we were always doing things in our community, participating, helping, sharing, those types of things. And as you reflect on the new hospital, one of the thoughts is how exciting it is going to be to watch the construction, but also for all the employees at BAMC, the new facility that'll be state-of-the-art. It's just really, you got to be really excited for them and excited for the services that they're going to be able to deliver to our community going forward. So my comment to John was, I've got this. I've got a story that I can tell, but it's not really about my dad. It's about what other people also have experienced about having a local service delivery for healthcare. And 19 years ago, May 21st, my father passed away, and he spent 7 days in ICU at BAMC over here. And when you have 7 sons and friends, relatives, and acquaintances, you have a big network. And what really is, this is my recollection of it. Now, I could be wrong, but what I experienced was this ebb and flow of people coming and going every single day. People would show up with pizzas. We would have breakfast. We took over the ICU waiting room. And if you've ever been in there, which God forbid, but it's not that big. And it basically became a home. And the whole feeling was that our community supported us as a family. And that's what the new hospital is going to continue to bring to our community, is where people don't have to travel to get their health care, and they can stay close to their friends and their family in the most challenging time of their life. So I really am excited for that. I'd like to say that the continuation of the legacy of healthcare will be well served. So thank you very much.
Next up, from an employee perspective, we have Kevin Beatty. Kevin's our facilities manager and has been with BAMC for 40 years.
Good afternoon, everybody. I know we're in the UP. I promise it is going to warm up. I don't know when, but it's going to warm up. As Ed said, I'm Kevin Beatty. I'm the facilities manager here at Bay Area Medical Center. In 1976, I started my career with Marinette General Hospital as an orderly. To be honest, I didn't even know what an orderly was. I was asked to work out of the emergency department, and this is when they were going to be taking over the ambulance service from the fire departments. They asked me if I wanted to drive. You know, I was 19 years old. This got my interest up, and they were going to pay me to drive an ambulance. Lights, siren, legally exceeding the speed limit. What more could a guy ask for, I said. Yes, and the rest is history. On the first day, they set me up with a really nice lady. She said that she would teach me everything I needed to know. She was an older Army nurse that always wore a longer white dress with her nursing cap. I learned a great deal from her and respect her to this day. That was how I joined BAMC 40 years ago. Later, I was able to move into the facilities department and have been here ever since. It has given me the chance to see BAMC change and grow for our community. We have grown from 200 employees to over 700 today. In 1985, Marinette General and Menominee County Lloyd became Bay Area Medical Center. And as we grew, our services grew, and so did our buildings. In 1990, we added the front section of the hospital, in which the Heart and Vascular Center is today. We built the medical office building. We added our center for outpatient services. We also built the new cancer center, mobility center, and financial services, and a new central utility plant. So when people say to me, "You have seen it all," I just smile and say, "It's been a great ride, and I wouldn't trade it for anything." But the heart of the facility around which all the construction was taking place, the busiest part of BAMC, was built long before I was even born. For over 25 years, I have seen plans to address this, and today I can finally say we are building a new building. I'm so proud to be part of this project. During the many hours of meetings and we have been having with the architects, the construction, the staff, and we all realize we are building something that will serve our community for long after we are no longer here. Now I can really be able to say I've seen it all. I would like to thank our partner, Aurora Healthcare, our board, and our hospital leadership for making this day happen. Thank you.
So if 40 years wasn't enough for you, our Chief Operating Officer, Bernie Van Court, has been with us for a total of 41 years. Bernie.
when John told me that my job today was to tell you what this meant for our patients, my first thought was, yay, I got the best part. And then my second thought was, he gives me 3 minutes. I'm the last speaker, and you're all going to get out of here quickly. When I walked into work this morning, I walked into the same door that I walked into in 1985 when we became Bay Area Medical Center. It also was the same door I walked into 41 years ago on my first day on the job at Marinette General. So this is extremely exciting. Kevin was telling you about all the projects we've had over the years, and I always look at that as our ability to build a patchwork quilt, because every time we had a need, we had to figure out, can we squeeze it in there? Oh, but that's the wrong place. It's not close to this. And so this time we have a blank canvas, and that couldn't be more exciting. So I want to share with you some of the thoughtful things that we've attended to in our planning. So the first thing is thoughtful proximities. So a couple examples of that. You know, we mentioned that we're renovating the health center over on Old Peshtigo Road. All of our primary care services are going to be in that one building along with X-ray lab. On the medical office building attached to the hospital, all of our surgeons and our specialists that see patients every day in the hospital will be in that MOB. And for our patients, thoughtful proximities. We're going to have a women's health center. We've talked about that in this community for many years. So what does that mean? A woman can come in and she can see her OBGYN provider. She can also have her mammography, and she can have a breast ultrasound and a stereotactic biopsy. She can have a consult with our lactation specialist, or a consult with our breast health navigators, all in the same space. And then in our heart center, patients can see the cardiologist. They can see the cardiac disease management if they have a chronic cardiac disease like congestive heart failure. They can have their echocardiogram and their nuclear stress test and do their cardiac rehab all in one center. Our cancer center, you know, we're talking about the Regional Cancer Center. It's a one-stop place, and of all our patients that we're very cognizant about how important it is that they can go to one single place and get what they need. They can see the medical oncologist, they have their chemotherapy, they can have their lab work drawn, and they can have their radiation therapy all in one spot. So those are all thoughtful proximities. And in addition to make that convenient for our patients, it also is going to help us in our efficiencies for delivering care. The second thing that was highly important to us is privacy for our patients. I'm sure most everyone in here has experienced the environment that we have today, and we still sometimes have to put patients in semi-private rooms on our inpatient floors. And in our ER, we have some spaces that there's just a cubicle curtain that separates our patients. We're going to have all private rooms in our inpatient and also in our emergency department. In addition, another way to protect patient privacy is that we're having separate corridors on stage and off stage. So our patient traffic will be in a corridor that's not public. And everybody knows how we dress our patients, right? So we don't want them to have to go through the public corridors. Enhancing patient comfort. The rooms will be designed for the comfort of our patient. Not only the size of them, but most importantly, Tony was talking about families who want to be with their loved ones. Our rooms will actually be designed to have specific space for the families in the rooms. And as I said, they will be private rooms. We're also being very attentive to all of the evidence out there today about how you prevent cross-contaminations of infections. Private rooms are one way to do that. We're also looking at all the surfaces we're going to have in the hospital to make sure they're easily cleaned and can make a safe environment for our patients. We also want to make sure that in everything we do, that although the patient is the center of the universe, as you just mentioned, this is a community where family is important to all of us. So we're going to make sure that there is a lot of space that our physicians can consult with patients so that no one leaves us without the information they need to get healthy again and to continue to be well. Last but not least, Ed mentioned that our caregivers have been intricately involved in designing this facility, and I think that's critically important because they know best how care is delivered. And I am getting so excited. In fact, I'm sort of deferring retirement so that I can walk through a different door at Bay Area Medical Center, at least just one time. Thank you.
Well, I know we've had we've had a lot of good comments today, and I want to thank everyone for their willingness to speak. I want to thank you all once again for being with us today. One thing I want to kind of end on is it's kind of similar to comments I was making about Oscar Bolt, and that is, we're talking a lot about our physical structures today. Sense here, brand new construction over at Aurora Bay Area Health Center renovation. And, buildings are important. We need to have buildings to deliver our care and live out our missions and everything. But buildings are just that. They're brick and mortar, and you might be able to have the ability to feel that cornerstone and feel the people inside of it. But the key is the people inside of it. Because behind that brick and mortar, behind that glass and steel and everything else that goes with it, it requires all of you. Whether you're a direct patient caregiver or someone that never places a hand on a patient, but maybe the very first person that a visitor or patient speaks with, or ensures that the bill that that patient receives is accurate and is timely, or just simply smiles at somebody in the hallway. That's what makes BAMC the special place it is. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for helping us to live out this dream behind me. And I thank you for your continued support. A couple just housekeeping items. I see most of you got the commemorative trifold serrated shovel with the embossment on it. When John first asked me if I thought that was a good gift, and I opened it up and I was commenting about being a zombie apocalypse tool as well. He said, "Don't say that part. Don't you guys hear that part?" But we also, while a lot of this was farmland, you can see where some of the crops remained. We do have to remove some trees. We removed some trees in the front, mostly all of which were scrub trees. But we did have an arborist take a look at those trees, so we didn't end up dropping anything that was near and dear. In fact, this right to my right here is a good example of trees we're trying to preserve, and we cleared out all the underbrush. You just look behind it, you can see 3 big piles of underbrush, because the main entrance to our facility is just that. Now, don't worry, it'll be paved, but that will be the main entrance. And when people come in, we want them to experience the nature and cohabitate with the environment that existed. We are going to have gorgeous views out of our patient windows, out of most of the windows. We don't want people overseeing a sea of parking lots. So we've taken great care of where we position the building on this site to take advantage of those things. There will be a separate second entrance just down the road here that doesn't exist right now. And it'll provide more of a unique experience coming out of this campus, because when you drive in, there'll be trees on both sides. You'll proceed forward for 100 yards or so before you take a gentle right-hand turn, and then the building will be revealed to you. Whereas this entrance, from the entrance, you'll be able to see the physical structure, which would be great. But in recognition of some of the trees we are dropping, we do have white pines for each of you to take with you. And we ask that you find a suitable spot so that we can leave a positive footprint on our environment.
1, 2, lift, 3, throw! We needed to get this cleared out anyway. 1, 2, 3, there you go.